Thisisbunjo. I just want to make a quick video and reminisce. You know, it's almost like a podcast on the sea. I want to show you guys and tell you guys about characters that I ran into or used to live with in the same city back home in Hamilton and compared to now. So let's get in it. And still, I'm looking for those videos from all my fans and all the people and all my friends and fellow YouTubers and everybody to send in, and so I can submit them to joebunjo@gmail.com, and I'll post them and give my take on them. So let's get into this video.
This is Bunjo Show. This is not your show. I traded the 905 for G-O-O-O. This is Bunjo Show.
Another character is this guy Pete. He's like this Italian dude. I used to work with him in you know, the old pharmaceutical on the street job I used to have. This guy Pete, one day we were listening to we were working because we had to work for our bosses, like our underworld boss, you know what I mean, his fake landscaping company. So we're doing this other gang members fucking fence because we were like the little cronies kind of. And Pete was there, and he's like the right hand. He's not right in the head. He'll stab his brother with a screwdriver kind of guy in the head like he did. So the one time we're up, me, Salas, and Pete. We're working on this fence. This guy, we call him Zohan. He has a barber shop, right? He has a barber shop in Stony Creek. So Zohan, we were painting his fence and doing his backyard for landscaping company. And Pete all of a sudden comes out of nowhere. I never heard this song in my life. He's like, the jitterbug. And he's, mind you, this guy is scary crazy, right? And he's like, you know, he killed people and stabbed people, so it's like scary, right? And he's like, the jitterbug. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he's staring at me. Then he's like, wake me up before you go, don't leave me hanging here like a solo. And you're just like, what the fuck is this guy up to? And you're scared because you're like, is this guy gonna murder me now? And so I drive this guy home that day, and so Pete's in the car. He's like, you know what, man, you're a good guy. And we were talking about quitting the job because our boss was taking advantage of us, but we're just blowing smoke out of our ass. He's like, I'm telling my dad that I'm not working for him anymore. My dad thinks I'm getting used too. And he's like that, like he's like a 40-year-old trapped in a little kid's body, but he'll kill you. So he's scary, right? And so he's like, but you know what, man, you're good to me. To me, he's talking, because we're in my Kia, we're driving. He's like, you're good to me, man. You've always been good to me. He's like, I love you, man. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. And I'm scared because he's just going on a rant, so I don't know what the hell to expect, right? And he's like, but I love you. He's like, and we're driving towards Eastgate because I'm dropping him off at Eastgate so he can take the bus to the beach. He's like, and he just finished telling me about stabbing his brother-in-law in the head with a screwdriver because he over some bullshit. And then I'm like, oh yeah? And then he's like, no, I love you. Look me in the eyes and tell me you love me back. So I'm like sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck? And my hand's on like the shifter, and he grabs my hand on the shifter. He's like, he squeezes it hard. He's like, no, look at me in my eyes and tell me you love me. So I'm like, yo, I love you, Pete. He's like, oh, and then he hugs me, and then I just drop him off, and that was the end. And I never seen him again. Fucking Pete, man. See, those are the kind of characters in this. But I mean, you shouldn't miss these guys, but they're funny. Yeah. Then we used to have this guy named Candace. Well, his real name wasn't Candace. He used to wear like this pink shirt and this tutu and dress up like a princess. And basically, he'd dress up in a tutu and like, that's crazy, right? All together, and he'd act like a girl, but he had a full beard. He looked like a brutal man, you know. And so this guy, he used to be, everybody knew Candace, right? R.I.P. Candace. This guy, I guess, jumped in front of a bus and got hit or something. I don't know, that's what I heard. And R.I.P. Candace, you know. But he was like the first cross-dresser I ever seen, like the first time, you know. And everybody's like, yo, stop staring at Candace when you walk by. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm fucking 15 and I see this man dressed in a tutu. What the hell? How am I not supposed to stare and laugh at that? Like, don't dress like that if you don't want to be laughed at. Simple. But I mean, looking back on it, I was just a young dumb kid. I mean, he obviously had some mental health issues too. I mean, you don't just do that, right? I don't know. And then there's this guy, Jeb. He's like Hungarian. He's the dancing cowboy. He finally stopped dancing, I heard, because he got a message from God, I think the story goes. And yeah, he doesn't dance anymore. He used to dance. Every time you see him, he danced from one side of the city to the other side of the city with a cowboy hat on, you know, non-stop dancing. I swear to God, every day. Like, he has his own Facebook page, fan page. He has the dancing cowboy Jeb from Hamilton. Look him up, look into it, man. Yeah, we got all kinds of characters. Like, those kind of characters I'll miss. And not to mention, I got buddies like this one guy, Bombo. Like, this dude used to carry wet wipes with him in case he had to shit somewhere, you know what I mean? And remember like in high school, like I'd say 98 to 2002, when Gucci velour suits and Air Force Ones were that thing. You know, this man forgot that went out of style, and he's still rocking them shits. I mean, he looks fresh as fuck and keeps his kicks clean as fuck. And his Gucci suit, his velour suit's still soft and shit. So I mean, props to him for that. But I mean, dude, some people just don't change it. And then that guy's hilarious, man. He'll come over and be like, can I borrow fucking 6 eggs? Like, you know, he ain't getting them 6 eggs back, you know what I mean? He's that guy. Like, at 12 o'clock at night, can I borrow 6 eggs? Like, but he really just wants a little free drink and a little party favor. But I mean, that's funny. He's a funny dude. He's my boy. He's hilarious. And you got lots of guys like this, man. You got this guy, Troy from Steel Cut. He calls himself Snake. He gave himself his own nickname, Snakes. He's like, because I guess everybody's calling Peaches, and he doesn't like that. And he's like this little mini version of Kramer, you know, from Seinfeld. He's like, "Goo, like that, you know, "Goo, whoa," and he's all like twitchy and shaky. But this guy's a dope ass artist. I mean, I like the guy, but this is just a comedy show, so I'm just trying to bring out comedy. Don't take any offense to this, people. So, but I mean, Troy. Anybody knows Troy? I mean, Snake. Don't know what I'm talking about, man. And Kramer, oh, and he always has this joke. How many hookers have you threw in the ditch lately? You know what I mean? And he told me that he's actually the one that told me that Hitler's niece used to piss on him or something. I don't know if that's true. That's what he told me. He reads a lot, that's why. And he's a funny dude, right? And yeah, man, all these characters will be missed in my eyes. But I mean, at the same time, it's crazy. I mean, now I'm getting my own characters here. Like, I got the Horseman. He's wild, he's funny as hell. I got Daniel, the fire starter. He's now in prison. I got PP Pants. You know, you get characters everywhere. That's the moral of this story. But in Hamilton, those characters last a lifetime, man. Especially ones that I went to school with, and I don't know, man. Even us, we like, it was just fun times, and I don't miss it, because you never look back on things. You never want to go back to the past, because that means you're never gonna go forward. So never regret or wanting to go back and redo things, because I don't. Even after all the bad things I told you I've done, it's an educational thing, and now I get to tell people my story so they don't make the same mistakes. And so I hope from all my stories, I hope people realize that's what this YouTube channel is about. And sure, I do vlogging, I do travel, I do Arsenal games, I do a bunch of things. I do music segment. I'm not just, I hate when people put me into one category. I'm not that guy. I'm different. I'm different, like 2 Chainz says. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and share, obviously. And buy some t-shirts, man. Buy some t-shirts. I got merch on teespring.com/Thisisbunjo. Let's get it, boys. Now, going back to W.H. Ballard, we had this guy named Climby, Dave Climby. He later got his nickname. He's like this little guy, this little nerdy, like typical nerdy guy, you know, pocket protector, glasses, skinny, fragile, asthma, you know. You touch him, he'll break apart. Like, he's that guy. So one time, I guess people ridicule him. Now, I never bullied him because I don't believe in bullying at any age. And he's actually a very nice guy. He's hilarious. I find comedy in him instead of bullying him. And so this one time, I guess this guy Blair Lucas was bullying him, and finally Climby said, I had enough of this. So I guess he turned around and bit the guy in the neck. So after that, he gained the name Climb Dog. And later on, he went to Delta with me, Delta High School. And this man lit the fucking school on fire in the lunchroom. It's crazy, yeah? He's a crazy guy, but he's harmless. Besides the fire, I mean, that's crazy. And then in Delta High School, there's this other guy named Rob. He's the only guy, like at age 10, he had this full-blown mustache. He had like dandruff, like crazy jet black hair, but with white fucking flakes in it. And he was the fastest walker ever, man. This guy was the speed walker, like before speed walking was even a race, like a real race. This guy, we couldn't believe it. Now one time we're sitting in the library, and he's like, because I used to talk to all these weirdos because I find them interesting, and he's telling me, he's like, hey Bunjo, what's up? And he sits beside me. I'm like, that's cool. And I think Columbine just happened. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh man, see those kids that show up to school? He's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna fucking do that, you know, to get some respect. And he gives this creepy ass laugh, but I think he's just joking because he knows he's a creep. And so I'm like, what? You ain't gonna shoot me, right? And I try to dab him up, and he's like, no, you're the first one I'm gonna hit. I'm like, dude, I thought we were buddies. He never showed up to school, so I mean, that's cool, right? Yeah, then he just sped walked the fuck out of there. It was like, fucking, whoa, where'd Rob go, you know? Yeah, but that mustache was pure pervert style. I liked it. And this guy, Adam McPherson, there's another guy named Adam McPherson. Now, I still hung out with this guy, and he's funny because when we got older, I reconnected with him because I was like, oh, this guy doesn't have any friends and he needs some friends. So I said, I was like, yo, you want to come out to a party? A Halloween party. So he comes out. I think I was dressed up as Borat in the mankini. So this guy, he comes out, and everybody's like, who the hell brought this guy, right? Because he's pretty weird, right? But he's hilarious too. He's a ginger, skinny ginger with glasses. And I guess he got sick of people bullying him, so he took up some sort of training, some sort of mixed martial art training. And he's showing me these videos of him training. And he's jumping over these pommel horses or whatever. Those pommel horses, you know, those gymnast things. And he's like jumping over them. He's like, look at this. He's showing me these videos of him jumping over shit. Like just jumping over things. He's like, look at it. Anybody comes at me, this is what I'll do to him. I'm like, what? You're gonna jump over them? You know what I mean? I'm like, but I mean, it's funny to me because he's harmless. But and then he told me to throw a punch at him. I'm like, dude, man, I'm not throwing a punch at you. And then he was like begging me. I'm like, dude. So I'm like this. I backhand him. Boom, hit him in the face. I'm like, what the fuck happened? You didn't jump over that, you know? Yeah, those were some high school friends, you know. Now let's get into some characters. Like there's this black girl. She's a black lady, and she's like, I think she's some sort of crackhead, right, or heroin addict. She used to roam the streets of Hamilton, usually like Delta Block. I think Delta Block by the dollar store there in Hamilton. And she used to be like, Fournier, Fournier. It's like calling me Fournier all the time. I don't know who the hell Fournier is to this day, but I mean Fournier. So it's one day I finally, after her like me walking by her so many times and her calling me over as Fournier, I said, what's up? It's Fournier. He's like, oh shit, I haven't seen you since the golf tournament. And she's like, I'm like, all right, whatever, right? And she's like, no, seriously, yeah. Did you go to Jay-Z and Beyonce's wedding? They invited me, but I didn't go because me and Beyonce had some problems. I'm like, all right. So I just left her a 6-pack of beer that time. I was like, here, take care. And she's like, oh my God, praise you, thank you, thank you. And then so the next time I see her, because I wanted to do a YouTube like a video there, I was like, so I was like, next time I see her, I had a camera. And I was like, here, I'll give you $5 if you let me interview you. And she is at Hess Village this time. And she's like, hey everybody, get this. This baller over here is gonna give me $5 to interview me and embarrass myself on camera. And I'm like, damn, she embarrassed me. So that's why I didn't start a YouTube back then. It was me and my buddy Salas that did that, and we just dipped. We took off like cowards, right? She was right. Like, we were trying to expose her for $5. That's crazy. And then there's this guy named Freeway Rick Ross that runs around Holton Street area. He's this black guy with a bald head in the front, but he has this little ponytail and this big beard, and he looks like Rick Ross. I mean, not Rick Ross, Freeway, the rapper from Philly. And so this guy would jack you up for anything, man. Like, buddy, I bought $10 of shit bunk weed, right, just to give to these girls that I was gonna sleep with off him, because I knew he needed money, right? And so I gave him what, $10 for this shitty bunk weed, right? And what happened was he was like so grateful, and I used to give him like beers every once in a while, you know, when I see him at the bars begging for money. I'd tell him to come in and buy a beer for him because he's cool as shit, right? And so this guy, he'd like murder anybody for me. So he's like a good guy, but he'd always go up to me and just rap for a cigarette, like, you know, spit rhymes for a cigarette. So it's pretty hilarious. Those people just right here, they're just like, what the hell's that guy doing talking to a stick? Man, mind your own business before I slap a bitch. No. And yeah, so yeah, we got Rick Ross there. And then who else we got? We got the bottle flipper on the corner of Kenilworth. This dude would just fucking flip like empty bottles or a little bit of water in a bottle and flip it. Double flip, triple flip, quadruple flips. Sometimes he'd catch it, but sometimes like he wasn't that good. Like I don't know, he wasn't that good. And he'd sit on the corner in Kenilworth, Maine, or downtown, and he'd just sit on that corner showing off like he's doing the best bottle flipping of his career. But I was thinking, every time I drove by, I was like, man, I should stand on the other corner and fuck this guy up and flip better bottles than that motherfucker, you know? That's what I was thinking, but I was like, oh man, that's like picking on a blind kid, you know? So I didn't do that, because this guy is clearly mentally ill. I mean, you don't just flip bottles for no reason, I don't think, unless you got something wrong with you.